Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of TechYopi. In this video I'm going to show you how we can use data transfer or how we can transfer data from client to server. So we can transfer data from client to server without being online always. Which means it works like if you have internet, you can transfer all the masters like product group or all the settings to the client from the server, and after that you can make transactions in client systems and it directly transfer to the server, which we configured whenever you have internet service. If you don't have internet, you can simply work like an offline billing or offline storing. So technically the database is in local system which we are using, and it will transfer client to server by using data transfer. And also it transfer only one side, which means client to server. The transaction always transfer from client to server, not vice versa. It won't transfer from server to client, the transaction, but the master, it will transfer from server to client. So let's start with an example. I have two companies, one is for client and one is for server. So let me show you how the configuration part connects with. So this is the configuration part of data transfer. You have to fill all these details like client, configuration and server. So let me fill it first. So first one is host name, which we can input our server remote connection IP or whichever you are using. In my example, I have only one system but two database. So instead of IP, I'm using my local system name as server, also for client. But in your case, if you have a remote location, you can use your server IP in order to transfer this to the remote location. So this is my server configuration details. Host name, which is support1, which is my system, and database name, and the username and password, which is a default username and password for our instance of SQL. Right now it is @user and 8123 is the password. Now we can go for client. So that's it for client. So these are the details. As for example, as you can see, my system support1, you have two database, test2 and mobile app. This is database name, two different database. I want to transfer my transactions from mobile app database to test2. So this is how you can configure on the base of your usage. So once it's done, you can test the connection for the server and the client. So before that, we have to click generate link server in order to generate the link. So you have to click that first. I just already clicked it. If you click again, once it's already generated, if you click again, it shows like this. Anyway, now let's try to check the test connection of server. If you click, it shows success. For the client, it shows success. So once it is okay, you can do all other settings. So first of all, we have to download all the masters and settings from server to client. In this scenario, we cannot create any new masters or product group or party supplier ledger, anything in client. You should follow the step that you have to create it in server always. Whenever you need to create a product for a client, you should create it in the server first and you have to download it. That's the procedure you have to follow. So functionally, client downloads all the masters and keep it in the database by replacing existing masters. So first of all, we have to click masters and settings. Let's try. It will transfer all the masters and settings to the client system. So once it clicked, it's downloaded. Now if you want individual masters or product group, you can click it or like this. You can follow the button. Now let us check if it is transferred or not. For the product, I only have one product here. Let's try to create a new one. That's true. It's master without any further details. To product. Let's try to open my client system. This is my client system. Try to open the product 1. Now let's try to transfer. Now let's transfer the product If I click masters, it will take time for transfer. It's done. Now let's reopen the client system, whether it is downloaded or not. Yes, it's downloaded. So like this, you can transfer all the masters, including product group, party, supplier, ledger, anything. Now let's try to make some transactions in client. For client, let's try to a normal sales. Let's try to save it. So this is a client and I made a sale invoice. Now let's try to transfer it. So now to transfer, I have to open the configuration part for data transfer, and I have to click sales. I just enable sale invoice. I have to click sales invoice. So it all pushed. So like that, you can enable any of the transaction here, and you have to click manually in order to transfer whenever you need, whenever you have internet. So you can technically bill offline, and whenever you need to transfer, when you have internet, it will transfer to the client, to the server. Now let's check if the server have our transaction. The server, let's try to open the invoice. Yes, it reached. So like this, you can transfer from client to server. And if you have one server and more than one client systems, then you have to make sure that you follow the voucher series. Then only you can identify each client transaction. For S1, S2, S3 for client 1, and like A1, A2, A3 for client 2, and B1, B2, B3 like client 3, so on. And so if you transfer it, each client transaction like sales transfer to the server, and you can easily identify by using the voucher series. So you have to follow, otherwise all client have the same voucher series, then it will replace in server. So for that, you have to follow voucher series for all transaction you need to transfer. So this is how you can configure and use data transfer in Attack ERP. Thank you for watching the video.